Hello and welcome to September 2023's AMA. Apologies that this is a little bit late. I got caught with a pretty bad sickness, and for a while afterwards my voice was still kind of shot from just being sick, and you might actually still be able to hear it, but I didn't want it to be too late, so here it is. Here are the questions that my patrons asked for the month of September. If you'd like to ask a question for one of these AMAs, consider supporting me over on my Patreon. So the first batch of questions comes from Aquasun, first of which being, what's something about you that you don't hide, you just don't really get a chance to talk about? I honestly have no idea, because I'm generally pretty open about pretty much anything, and anything that I'm private about wouldn't really apply to this question, so it's hard to say. If I had to pick something, I guess the fact that I don't like mushrooms. Like, I don't broadcast that, but it's not really a secret. Next question. How do you feel about ramen, chow mein, pho, or other Asian noodle dishes? I tend to really love them. I'm not too good with the texture of, I believe it's the angel hair noodles, the really thin white ones. But chow mein, ramen, udon, etc. are all really my jam. If I had to pick, I think chow mein would be my favorite, though a good udon soup is also really tasty. Next question is, where's the furthest you've traveled? The furthest I've gone is a road trip I did way long ago as a child with my family. I think the total hours away from home, which we obviously then had to take back, was around 18 hours. It was quite a distance, though we had a decent amount of stops along the way. I have never flown before, so... The next question from Aquasun, and a bit of a deeper one, is what is love? A tough question. I'm a believer of love taking many forms. Familial love, platonic love, romantic love, love for your pets, etc. I think the overall exemplification of love is caring heavily about the happiness and well-being of the reciprocant, and doing what you can to show that or make it happen. Importantly, I think something very important is that part of that is knowing when to give them space or even let them decide to not be a part of your life anymore. Respecting their rights as a person or just a regular being. I think that is a very important part of love. The last question from Aquasun is, what's your favorite Nintendo series? This is honestly a tough one. But with the remake of Thousand Year Door being a reality, I might go back to Paper Mario as my favorite. I lost hope as it was, not really what I used to hold dear, and I kind of gave up on holding out. But with the remake, it looks like it's back, or might be back, hopefully, fingers crossed, at least in some form. So, I hope this signals great things to come. The next set of questions comes from Hannah Page, first of which being, it's time for back to school. Did you have fun while you were going to school? Overall, yeah. Sometimes were stressful due to deadlines and tests, but I met a lot of really cool people during school and learned a lot of fascinating things. Next question, if you had the chance to eat any meal, assuming the costs were paid for, what would you order and why? The first thing that came to mind was lobster, though I can't really say why. I think because I was like, well, if the costs are paid for, I should go with something fancy, even though I'm not really huge on seafood. But I guess if you're willing for a slightly more vague question, I would, if costs were accounted for, I would definitely try to go for, like, something I've been interested in, but was, like, way too much money, Because how else am I gonna try that thing? Because, like, especially food, I don't like spending a lot of money on food. I'm like, I just want it for sustenance. I don't care about, like, oh, I ate this $1,000 thing. It's like, no. The next question, is, in your own words, would you describe yourself as funky? Probably not, since I don't really use that word very much, and it's very close to a different word, so I don't want to accidentally have that happening. Next question, has someone ever played a prank on you that I ended up laughing at? I don't really think so. I'm not really a huge fan of pranks unless it's very harmless in the first place, so... The last question is Hannah running out of questions to ask them? Answer may surprise you. I'm gonna go with no. You tend to have a lot of varied questions, so I think you've got a decent amount of questions on hand, and they're all usually quite creative. The next set of questions comes from Angel Princess. First of which being, are you getting Super Mario Bros. Wonder? Which character will you start with? I don't think I'll be getting it myself, as I'm not the hugest 2D platformer fan, but if I did play it, I'd probably go with Peach and Toadette. Next question, back to school. Did you like shopping or browsing for a new backpack? I feel like I remember enjoying it decently enough, though I didn't get new backpacks too often, since mine usually stayed in good shape for a while, so there wasn't really a need to buy a new one every year. Next question, do you like bird watching? I haven't really done it officially, so to speak, but I do think it'd be nice and relaxing if I ever did. Because like, you know, here or there I have sat down and just like looked at my surroundings. I never had like binoculars or anything, but I feel like that could be fun. The last question from Angel is, are you ready for Spoopy month? Heck yeah. Though not really in the way of decorations or treats, since I just kind of never really do that. The last set of questions comes from Gaku, first of which is, have you ever gone foraging? I don't believe so. I'm the type to think that something is crawling on me most of the time, so I can't see myself grabbing stuff out in the wild. Next question, have you ever been apple picking? Which I guess technically is kind of foraging, sort of. A little, yeah. We used to have a small apple tree in our backyard and in my grandparents' backyard, so every now and again I would pick a few little apples. Next question, do you enjoy roasted marshmallows? I'm gonna say sort of, and by that I mean I think I would only have maybe one or two these days. I'm not as much into sweets as an adult, but I do remember really liking them as a kid, so I used to really enjoy them. But nowadays it's like, I like the concept, but I'm not really too much into too many sweets. Next question, have you or would you ever go camping? I have gone camping in the past, though usually either in a cabin or a camper, so I don't know if it truly counts to some. I did have a few like sleepovers in my youth where we would be in tents in like the backyard as a kid. But I don't even know if that's really not camping, because you're like, we were never far from the building, and sometimes we would even just go back inside. And the last question from Gaku, and last of this month, is, do you have any movies you watch around this time of year? If I had to pick, probably Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island, a classic among the classics. And with that, that is the last question of the month, so I'm going to switch on over to the end screen, and you might notice that I actually switched up the display for patrons and their NPCs. So now it actually shows the full pool of either outfits or different NPCs that each of my patrons have. So you can see their lovely characters scrolling on by here. If you are interested in having any of your NPCs or having these questions to ask me, then consider checking out my Patreon, which will be linked in the description. As always, thank you for everyone who asked a question and anyone who watched the video. The support truly means a lot to me. But until next month, or I guess not too much next month because this one has been late, so it will be not within a month, more a few weeks or so, we will see the questions for October. But until then, bye!